Understanding the definition of urban resilience is important, but it's even more relevant to explore and understand which are the meaning and thus the approaches to build resilience. When we read the broad definition, stating the capacity to respond, adapt, transform, to cope with shocks and stresses, we should ask ourselves what it actually means in practice to deal with a concept which definition is so broad and including so different coexisting approaches to action. So after many years of debates on the definitions and resilience approaches, I would say that from 2012, it's quite agreed internationally that there are three main approaches of resilience, coexisting in most of the urban resilience definitions. These approaches are the capacity to react, to respond, bounce back to shocks, disasters, whatever happened. You need to react and recover quickly your vital functions, the routines, reestablish your functioning, your order. That's one approach to resilience. And it's very different from a second one, which is adaptation. Adaptation, which is huge. It's a broad field of study we won't enter here, but simplifying it, adaptation is about reducing your risks exposure by adapting your city infrastructure, your ecosystem, your people routines. It's about building structure, protecting you from sea level rise, building desalination plants for coping with droughts, or planting trees for coping with heat waves or pollution. So adaptation is about all those actions which works on the symptoms, on the risks effects, reducing them, rather than addressing the root causes of those risks, fixing them. So the third very different approach is transformation. Transformation is broader than adaptation. It implies to work on the mitigation of the risks, on fixing the causes of the threats when possible, and coexist, for example, with sea level rise. Like the example of floating houses, if you think of it, instead of building dikes. It implies also an actual transformation of the city, of the structure, change and accommodate threats within our urban living, with a long-term perspective, of course. So those are three different approaches, totally different, as you can see, to recover, to adapt, to transform the system to new future environmental or socio-economic conditions. However, these three very different approaches coexist within the very same definition of urban resilience, although implying completely different set of actions, sometimes contradicting each other. This is why we say it's better to don't just say we build resilience as if it was a linear concept, but rather we prefer to say that resilience needs to be managing those different approaches. We need to understand these very different three families of actions and then politically manage how much effort you spend into recovery potential or how much invest in protecting your infrastructure. That's why urban resilience is complex, and it's just not about building resilience as if we were speaking of a dam to coping with flooding. In the next video, we show exactly how to grasp and deal with all these three coexisting approaches.